Yeah, just put that
Skittles
anywhere.
down.
There's not Skittles. No, we're doing like movie fans. We're doing Reese's Pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Because E.T. won Best Picture, didn't it?
Wow. No?
No.
I'm guessing it didn't.
No, it didn't. I don't think... I was going to say Steven Spielberg's never won a Best Picture, but then I remembered about...
The one.
The one.
The big one.
The big one. Schindler's List. That's what I was
That's
thinking.
the one,
You
yeah.
weren't thinking Jurassic Park, were you?
God, no. Of course it was Schindler's List.
Hi, welcome to Thanks Academy, the podcast where we're watching all the Best Picture winners in Oscar history in random order, all 90 of them, and I'm doing it with a random friend. Today's random friend is Ralphie Hardesty. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. I'm the most random friend.
Why are you the most random?
I actually don't know.
No.
I like the title Random Friend.
I do too, because it implies that I have so many that I won't repeat. I'm definitely going to repeat.
Yeah, you got 90 of these.
Yeah, I'm not going to make that many friends. Screw that. I have a spreadsheet of all 8 of you, and you're going to rotate through.
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah, I like that. Today we're watching 1938's Best Picture winners. This is the oldest movie we've done so far, called You Can't Take It With You. Sounds like it's about death.
It does.
And money.
Yeah, who knows? Who has any idea?
I love 1930s movies, specifically.
Oh, yeah, we were talking about that. I'm nervous because old movies, I don't hate them categorically, but they are, so many of them are paced. There's no pacing. There was no pacing before the 80s in movies, practically.
That's all my experiments have borne that out. And even in the 80s, like if you had no pacing, it was awarded for being a throwback. Yes.
As well. The pop movies started getting better, but the award-winning movies certainly were still pretty boring.
God, I had to watch Out of Africa. That's a whole story.
Oh, God.
So, this movie, though, the 30s, I think, are an exception to that rule. And I think that's a good rule. The 1930s were all about brisk pacing and getting people over the Depression, right?
Okay.
And
that
so
actually makes sense.
They tend to have a lot of zest and energy and all that. Plus, the technology had gotten good enough. Like the 20s, the technology just for talking movies was still kind of crappy.
Yeah.
And then in the 40s, you know, they started getting boring again and serious because we were involved in some sort of war, right? So the 30s had that magical, like, we've mastered the technology, let's have some fun with it. That's also when Hollywood started having the money to hire really good screenwriters.
Oh.
So they get
Wow, what a nice little history lesson you prepared.
I know a lot about movies. I just know jack shit about Best Picture winners.
Yeah, exactly.
Including this one. I don't know who's in it.
Do you know any, like, Oscar fanatics who, like, know all the Best Picture winners and everything?
I don't. I know a lot of people who love movies, and I'm sure some of them will accidentally know a lot about Oscars, but I don't know of anybody who loves movies because the Oscar was awarded to them.
I don't know. I can't explain. As a gay man, I do know people who know a lot about Oscar trivia, and they just, I think that's a thing. It must be, or else my friend Mike is just a fucking weirdo.
Both are true.
Yeah, I think so.
No, I don't think that's a thing in lesbian communities. I think we have television shows that we worship, and like a couple of movies that we'll put up with, but there's not like a big Oscar to do.
I don't even think there is any more, really. Like, I don't know.
Oscars are too hetero for lesbians. They're getting better now that more women are wearing suits, but like, I think for men it's always been great because if you're het, there's like that going on. Yeah. And if you're gay, everybody's flamboyant to the hilt, right?
So well, plus like the gowns and everything.
Exactly. Like, that doesn't. Yeah. But Janelle Monáe was there this year, so that
was at the because of movies.
A movie. She does movies.
She did 2 excellent movies. She was great.
She did. I only saw one of them. I saw
the one about science. Yeah.
Hidden Figures. Yes, which she was really good.
She was incredible. She was also very good in Moonlight, which was the other movie she was in.
Which I will see randomly
someday in the next 20 to 30 years.
In the next 75 to 80 weeks.
Oh shit!
Because it won
Best Picture,
and I never got around to it, and now I'm legally obligated, because of this podcast, not to watch it.
I mean, you were legally obligated. It's a gay movie. Even as a lesbian, you need to see.
I know. It was on my list of things. I kept like almost pushing play on it, and then like I started this podcast, and now I'm like, well, I have this game I'm playing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's more important.
This horrible thing I've imposed on myself.
That's much more important than learning the story of my people. So here's the other... The thing I'm a little nervous about is the 1930s in particular, 1930s and 1960s are both treasure troves of hidden gays in movies, right? Mm-hmm. 60s a little bit more like they're there and you just have to look a little bit beneath the surface and they were supposed to be noticed. Yeah. And then the 30s, just a whole lot of accidental homo going on.
Absolutely.
So I don't know if this movie's going to have that or not. And that usually for me is the key to enjoyment. If I have one person, I can be like, ha ha. Yeah.
Before you brought it up, I wasn't thinking about that at all, and now my enjoyment of this movie is riding completely on that.
Yes. So, based on the title, I'm sorry about whoever's howling outside. Hopefully you can't.
I hope they can hear these dogs. I don't know.
Those dogs really love to howl.
It's amazing.
Yeah, they're adorable. That's why I do a podcast, not a video thing. So
yeah, hell yeah.
You couldn't see my Cruella de Vil sarcasm. I'm going to make coats of the neighbor's dogs someday.
Aww.
Not true. Please leave me alone. Whatever department is listening to this.
FBI man.
I don't know. ICE, maybe?
Why? I don't know. It's FBI, NSA, something.
DHS.
Mm-hmm. They're all listening.
I think from the title, You Can't Take It With You, I'm assuming this is a romantic comedy of some sort, or at least there's a romance in it.
Yes.
And I'm guessing that it'll be cute, at least for part of it.
I agree. I think we're probably in for a comedy.
Yes.
And I mean, it's the Best Picture. It's the studio system. We're probably going to see big stars that we recognize.
We'll see. Well, there should be a credit sequence at the beginning.
There ought to be with names.
With names in it. I'm hoping old movies are reliable for that. Newer movies, like the last 5 years, they don't give you that anymore. You're just supposed to know.
God, those credits are so long too.
Yeah, right?
Anyway.
The law of movies states that where there is a romance and there is humor, somewhere nearby, somebody's best friend will be gay. That's where I'm going to look for it.
God, that is absolutely an immutable truth.
And I wonder if that still holds all the way back to 1938, or if that was invented by Nora Ephron, or what. We'll learn together.
Did Nora Ephron invent the gay best friend? Is the research question for You Can't Take It With You.
It's entirely possible. Let's watch this movie. Yay!
Oh boy. That is the music of the comedy.
Frank Capra sounds familiar. Didn't he do the Christmas movie? Oh, Jimmy Stewart. God damn it, I'm in love with this movie already.
And Lionel Barrymore.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Yeah, we have some stars.
We've got Drew's grandpa.
Yeah.
Jimmy Stewart.
Wouldn't it be weird if Drew Barrymore James Barrymore, what's his name again? Lionel. What if he sounds just like Drew Barrymore?
Oh my god, like Valley Girl?
Yeah.
Oh my god. You're loving this. This is Norm Wilkerson talking to the IRS.
I know.
Anything like this?
Oh my god, it is literally Norm.
Pay you about $75. It isn't worth a cent more. You pay every cent just like anybody else. Now listen to me. You've got a deal if you don't pay. Do you hear that? That's law. If you think you're bigger than the law, you don't really think something. You're just the same as anybody else. The sooner you get that through your head, the better.
Yay! Fuck that guy.
Anyway, I'm dating a banker.
Yeah, exactly.
Ready? Go set now. And.
This is literally the most badass date ever. I was totally
fun.
supposed to do this
Hell
date.
yeah. Start dancing with some street urchins.
You were milking me for a dollar.
I know.
To teach me to dance. What fucking world
Right,
is
get
this?
shaken down by some poor kids.
Jesus, make America great again.
Aww.
Take us
You know? Some things are universal. Checkers the cops! I love this movie. This is like a really good Frasier episode.
It's really charming.
Perfectly all right.
Fuck yes!
Here we go. Yes! Oh my god!
They worked for it. There was professional wrestling.
That
in
was
this fucking
great.
movie. Nothing like throwing a little shade in your prayers.
That was a fantastic prayer. Oh, they're hitting it off. Oh my god. Wow. Woo.
Oh my god, that was such a good movie.
That was I'm shocked at how charming that was.
Beyond charming, I think it was like
Yeah.
super weirdly relevant.
Relevant and like, I mean, as a movie, you're right, it totally worked. I kept waiting for like the corny thing to happen. And it was,
Right.
corny-ish. It was a romantic comedy, but
It had a happy ending that I guess you could label corny, but
exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is shockingly relevant.
it's literally exactly 80 years old this year, and that
my
is
God.
the freshest breath of air in terms of knocking down the privilege of the 1%, in terms of holding men accountable for their actions and their words.
Oh yeah.
In every level of it.
Yeah.
In terms of, God, like ambitions and politics.
Yeah.
This was like a better movie than anything I've seen politically this year.
I fully agree.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that I kept forgetting was that it was a comedy that won Best Picture. That is
Yes.
almost unheard of.
Right.
Like, how many of those are there? So
Maybe just this?
there's God, what else?
I guess
won?
would you call Rain Man a comedy?
Did it win?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh, it's not a comedy. Is it? Have you watched it recently?
Everybody only remembers the funny parts.
Oh no, I remember there are jokes, but there's also like
Yeah.
I don't know.
They
call it Indian stuff. Anyway,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
But God, like the thing that I also have to say is the jokes were surprisingly fresh and funny.
Yes. This is what I like about the 30s, is that their
Yeah.
sense of humor is pretty on point.
It was really good.
Yeah. Okay, so nobody's seen this movie. You can't take it with you, not on
Yeah.
anybody's viewing list. So, hell of a plot. There's a lot to try to
Right.
recap here.
And there's a lot of movies in here.
Yes.
There's a lot going on inside. So yeah, so the rich family, the Vanderhoffs.
No, the Vanderhoffs are the Bohemian family.
Oh, they're the Bohemian family. Okay.
Yes, with Lionel Barrymore as grandpa.
Right.
And then the rich family is the...
Oh, right. AP, what's his name? Or
Oh, yeah. They've been bankers for generations.
Yeah.
And they've got kind of stuffed shirt mom and dad, and then their son and heir to be, played
Right.
by Jimmy Stewart.
Right.
Which, thank God for that.
Oh, and he's
Amazing.
He's glorious. He's gorgeous.
And
Young Jimmy
he-
Stewart. Everyone loves it.
And he takes the back seat to
Yeah.
the female lead, who's the daughter of the Vanderhoffs.
Yeah, that's the thing is like comedically, it's the ensemble that really sells this movie to you. Jimmy Stewart doesn't do a lot besides like when they go on their date and he's
Yes.
super charming. He doesn't bring a lot else to this.
He has a couple of good quips, and he delivers all of his lines perfectly, and he acts very well.
And again,
it's not
gorgeous.
And beautiful.
He's giving you face.
Seriously, but it's not a Jimmy Stewart movie.
No.
At all.
No.
He's kind of in a Hugh Granty role, except way less obnoxious than Hugh Grant.
Yeah. This was probably like a Lionel Barrymore movie that they were like, oh, put him in.
Exactly.
Charming young actor. But yeah, falling in love with the Bohemian family's daughter. And ultimately, of course, they save everything. But even the way it goes about is like kind of clever, very adorable.
It's like the only problematic part of this movie, and I hate using that word, but it comes up a lot when you watch old movies, is that they meet because she takes a position as his secretary and he falls in love with her. It's workplace sexual harassment.
Right.
Bells going off. But that goes away very quickly.
Yeah.
It gets dealt. It's not the point. He doesn't bully her into the relationship.
Apparently, she was actually interested in this relationship.
She was super into it and in control the whole time.
Right.
And has a great line when the mom walks in on them making out in his office. Where she was like, could you pass me the wontons?
Yeah. She's
like, I'm out.
I need to see the wontons real quick, please.
Yeah.
And, oh, God, yeah, she was way tougher of a character than I thought in that first scene when it looked like she was the victim of workplace sexual harassment.
No, she was her name was Alice, by the way, and she's the star of the movie to me. Every time she said or did anything, my heart leapt because
she was great.
She just kept winning.
That actress was fantastic, and the part was written great. I thought everybody's arc was actually like pretty decent in this movie.
Yeah, seriously.
Even those little crappy things about like the Russian picking him up, everything was wrapped up beautifully.
Oh my God. There's so much going on in this movie.
It is a beautiful little gem.
So we've got kind of a Romeo and Juliet situation going on, except instead of feuding families, it's just rich people and poor people, and how are you going to make that work? The poor people are like progressive libertarians. They basically believe that everybody should just do whatever they want, and as long as it makes them happy, money will come to them, and everything will be fine. And of course, they are right in this movie,
right?
And somehow,
yeah.
And they live in this bohemian collection of people who just wander into the house and never come back out. They pull in one of the bankers from...
Adorable, yeah.
Because he likes to make little mechanical
He makes
ducks.
little toys, That was weird.
He was a weirdo, but they managed to convert his pedophile energy into something a little better.
Right. They're healing the pedophiles.
They somehow got the ice delivery guy involved in a fireworks concern in the basement. They had a football player from the University of Alabama who played vibraphone.
Beautifully.
And accidentally agitated for communism on the streets. A lot happens in this movie.
Man, yeah. Damn.
And then our favorite bit character in the Bohemian household, I think, I don't want to speak for you, but the Russian dance
man,
instructor.
Yeah.
Oh
He's
my
incredible.
God. He's the Kramer of this movie.
He's absolutely Kramer.
He's got his catchphrases, and he's way over the top, and he bursts in the door with a weird movement. But God, was he awesome!
Yeah, and he's very very Kramer meets Urkel. What's for dinner? Got any cheese? Kind of. He's fantastic.
Yeah, but Russian, super duper.
Yes.
At one point in the middle of the movie, he full on picks up the rich banker, spins him over his head 4 times. And literally body slams
dumps him on his neck.
Just to prove a point about you can wrestle.
Yeah, you're not that tough. Look, I can pick you up. You think you're so powerful, rich man? God, it's fucking fantastic.
2018, I'm here to tell you that this movie from 1938 has professional wrestling. It has weird family going viral with their artistic skills.
It has racistly named ravens.
It has one problem. There is a raven named Jim.
Right.
The crow. Right. That does come into it. But it has communist agitation. It has people telling off the cops left and right.
Oh, and also, it also had, unfortunately, the only black character who only talked about welfare.
That's true.
I forgot about that too.
Luckily, his fiance was not quite a fully 3D character, but also not a flat-out stereotype.
Better than I was expecting. When I saw
better.
black people on screen, I thought it was just going to be parade of racism, and it was a very short parade.
It was
a very, very short parade of racist things happening.
Look, it was exactly as racist as any movie from the 1980s, and it was 10 times less racist than Crash. So
I know we're not here to talk about other Best Picture winners.
Well, but part of the thesis of this podcast is we're trying to figure out how the hell Crash happened. Mm-hmm. So this movie indicates nothing about...
Gives us no clues. No, we are no farther.
If they had kept making these movies the Best Picture winner, nobody would have any problems. And Crash never would have happened.
In grad school, I had a professor who took one of our classes to make sure we all watched Crash together.
Oh, gross.
Yeah, I watched Crash in grad school. And we had like several classes where we discussed the text Crash. And I went to the University of Alabama, Roll Tide.
There you go.
Yeah.
Just to set up the bad guys here, it's not just that they're rich.
Right.
It's not just that they're snooty. He is a banker who is somehow putting together some sort of a monopoly over munitions factories. And
I forgot about that.
A munitions factory in a 12-block radius of Manhattan. So he's trying to buy every house, and the Bohemian family, in a wacky coincidence,
happened to be making fireworks in this future munitions factory.
Oh, that's true.
They were...
They also happen to be the only ones who won't sell. And and they're right in the middle of this 12 blocks. So without them, he can't build his factory.
Right.
So he's got some henchmen trying to convince him to sell. Grandpa's like, no, I do what I want. Mm-hmm. At one point, they sick the IRS on him.
Right.
Which was pretty funny because I forgot the IRS had already been invented in 1938, but they were villains immediately.
They have always been villains.
Oh, from the start. Yeah. And so there's a delightful sequence where Grandpa Lionel Barrymore sits down and just Norm Wilkerson's at the IRS agents
it's
the whole
incredible.
time. It's amazing.
It's absolutely incredible.
It's 100% pure libertarian rhetoric, but like the kind that most people would go, well, you go get him. The best side. Let's just say that. What was my point? Oh, the bad guys. So it's basically like a Tony Stark munitions thing.
That's exactly what it is.
Trying to sell weapons of war by and he's ruining other businnesmen who are going to threaten to kill themselves.
He's a ruthless businessman, destroying everybody in his path. And he's got it. His son is going to become the president once all of this comes together. He has all these plans, and the getting caught in his own trap, I admit, was brilliant.
Yes.
That was very, very cute, and the movie did it in a way that was actually very clever.
It was believable.
Right.
We had a night court sequence, a literal night court sequence that was... I mean, I think we both almost cheered 5 times.
It was very, very exciting, and I even teared up a little bit at the end
me too.
When they started fucking playing those harmonicas. God damn it! God, I mean, so much more happens in there.
So much happens in this movie. So there's also basically think Birdcage too. The plot is more Birdcage than Romeo and Juliet because there's a lot of back and forth about the fussy people needing to come down to earth and realize that everybody's people, and then also Alice trying to dress her family up so that they're respectable enough that she won't lose this man that she loves, and then comic circumstances, including a weird Russian dance teacher who's exactly Hank Azaria in Birdcage.
Yeah, exactly. He's Kramer. He's Agador Spartacus. He's everybody.
He's John Turturro.
Yeah.
In anything.
The Jesus. Yeah.
Totally the Jesus.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
Immediately who I thought of. So it's basically, I think Birdcage pulled a lot from this movie.
Oh yeah.
And then just instead of being bohemian, they went, well, gay, right?
Yeah, it was the 90s Bohemian. Well,
90s
La Cage aux Folles was what year?
Late
40s?
90s?
Oh, was it really?
Wait.
No, the 90s Birdcage, American Birdcage, was in the 90s.
Based on a French film.
Yes.
I thought that was a recent French film, though. I thought they remade like a new one.
I would have guessed like 70s or 80s.
Okay, possibly. I don't know.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
It didn't win Best Picture, so fuck it.
This luckily did. So this is they made up
this
for it.
This was lucky. This was just because of a die roll. How did you determine this randomly?
Yeah.
I'm thrilled.
I know. Isn't this a
this.
magical mystery? I was actually at a point where I was afraid every movie I watched for this podcast I was going to hate. And this might be one of my new favorite movies.
I'm actually bowled over by this. This was very good.
The 1930s are so awesome.
You've convinced me because I went into this terrified. I thought all movies that were honestly before the 70s had absolutely no pacing whatsoever. They're always so slow and so boring.
And we kept pointing out what sitcoms it felt like because the pacing
It was so
on point.
quick.
Yeah.
And yet they still had time to play Polly Wolly Doodle 4 or 5 times. They pack a lot into this movie. It's action-packed.
There's an amazing jail sequence. So during the birdcage scene when the rich folks are visiting the poor folks.
And it's a disaster.
And everything goes horribly wrong. Yeah. All the fireworks in the basement blow up. And they
it is really a catastrophe. I mean, when I say disaster, normally you mean like it doesn't go well. It is a literal disaster.
It's like there's a reason they all get hauled off to jail.
Yeah.
It's believable.
Yeah.
You would arrest all of those people.
The movie sells it to you.
Yeah. So they separate the men and the women, and they have these great jail sequences with these two rich
women's
people.
Prison, the women's drunk tank. I want a movie about that.
Yes.
Where is their movie?
Oh my God, that hooker was amazing.
She was incredible.
Yeah. And then in the men's drunk tank, he basically almost gets mauled over a cigar.
Yeah.
And then Lionel Barrymore at one point, who's been just a sweet, kind old man, let it be, just like total blissed out kind of guy, unleashes the
dragon. He lets it out.
14 tweet rant. Yeah. Like he basically starts laying into him. It's like one slash. Now here's the next one.
He cut deep. He basically, when you're dead, no one will care.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you might be powerful, but your legacy is shit.
Oh, he burned.
It was great.
You're a terrible father.
It's everything that every poor person today wants to say to every rich person.
That part almost made me tear up. Yes. There were two parts. That part, and then when then in the courtroom, they're trying to kind of like circumstance their way out of it.
Yeah.
And Lionel Barrymore tries to be a stand-up guy and say, they were only visiting us because he's interested in buying my house.
Right.
And Alice would have none of it. And she was like, no, they came over to meet us and scope us out because they didn't think I was good enough to marry their son.
Yeah.
And basically embarrasses that family in front of the press.
Yeah.
And then at that point, finally, Jimmy Stewart says, yeah, that's right. And she says, about time you spoke up.
She was sharp. She was a sharp fucking character.
So she calls him on his cowardice immediately in the courtroom. And then later when he comes over, he tries to talk to her, and he tries to do that thing that male characters have always done in romantic comedies, where they yell and hold the woman and say, "No, you need to listen to me. I'm about to apologize."
And they give up, and they're
like, "Fine, I'll hear you out." And then the man says the right thing. He tries to do that, and she turns around and says, "Oh, you're just going to yell and scream to get what you want, like you have your whole life," and then turns her ass around.
Do. Oh, man, she doesn't only get him; she says the perfect thing to cut him all the way to the bone. It is fantastic.
It's the best thing I've ever seen. In a romantic comedy ever.
She's light years better than she was when they were introducing her. I thought the whole thing was going to be cringy and awful, but she was such a funny character, such a brilliant character. I loved her. I absolutely loved her. In this
movie. The mom who just writes plays, not because she's into it, but because they accidentally delivered a typewriter to the house one day.
Oh, that is so fucking funny. And that's the thing. By today's standard, because we are so cynical about Manic Pixie Dream Girls and all of these fantastical, cartoony characters. You couldn't sell that house full of people to a 2018 audience. Not in this way. You could certainly sell that type of character.
It wouldn't be somebody's house. It'd probably be more like a co-op or something.
It would be a house of stoners, absolutely. Yeah. But they still sell it, and it's really, really inspiring actually. Just especially to somebody who quit their job in the last year and is just kind of doing whatever. It really is nice to see myself up on the screen. It's like, oh, she's clanking out some terrible plays. It's me.
So Ralph, here, you and Chris gonna open your house up to everybody who wanders in and needs to follow their dream? I
feel like we're close to that already. I mean, that honestly not that far off from what is currently happening at our house.
It's funny because the thing that's so fresh about this movie is that the moral of it, which is a little Pollyanna-ish, not everybody can just do what they want and it works out all right. You have to have a lot of privilege to make that work. But the spirit of that is inspiring, and I do want to moral compass myself every once in a while about do I just chase money or do I do what I want? probably need to steer more in that do what you want direction than you usually do. And I think that was, and they were all practical about it. Everybody in that house had some sort of a job.
That's
and
true.
They actually went down the line and convinced, except for, unfortunately, the black character. That's
true.
He was on relief, which was a different thing than pure welfare. That was...
Yeah, I need a history lesson on relief.
It's a welfare for veterans, and so I'm sure he got what he deserved.
That's a very different... And actually very meaningful when I think about, like, the black character talking about welfare. That's an important distinction, I think.
And also this was it was Depression, so, like, they were ramping up all those social programs, and, like, it wasn't like... it is today where there's a political fight about it. It was considered neutral to be on.
Well, how sweet. That's...
this is FDR.
How progressive.
Well, they were literally it was a very progressive time in America.
Exactly.
Yeah. If you are frustrated with the Trump era... oh my God, you need this movie.
Actually, you're fucking right.
Such good medicine.
That's exactly the right place in American history to go.
You can't take it with you. 1938 will cure what ails you in 2018. I swear to God.
I have to get behind that statement. Oh. Everybody. I thought this was going to be hell, but it was actually super fun, so entertaining, and really, really good.
Okay, so in all the other podcast discussions I've had to say, okay, what did you like? Because we've been just trashing the movie. Mm-hmm. In this case, I feel like we've been glowing about it, and I'm afraid we're going to give away every joke, and then people won't need to see it.
Right.
What didn't you like? Was there a cringy moment? I mean, we've covered the treatment of African American characters, and the fact that they had a crow named Jim was a little cringy.
Yeah.
Although I wasn't really sure if that was meant to be a joke.
It wasn't that fucking weird. It wasn't addressed. It was just, he just called him Jim. Hey, Jim.
I feel like it wasn't really like hit hard. We were the ones who noticed there's a crow, and I think I actually said, I hope it's not named Jim.
You called it.
Sure,
no, you called it.
But I wonder with a character from Alabama and the progressive era and having a crow named Jim, if that was some sort of a joke that we're just not going to contextually understand.
Yeah, must be, or maybe
like
not. Maybe they're just like,
or maybe that's just funny. Yeah.
Yeah. When we kept looking at like the boardrooms and like that guy killing himself in the end, I thought that was like kind of extreme. Like, really? The boardroom people, those scenes, especially in the beginning, was like... at first I thought that the movie was really going to be that kind of like slow and I don't know, just like we were talking about consolidating industry, like monopolies on munitions, like, oh God. But
it got into the details.
It wiped away so quickly. And the one character who kind of did bug me was the daughter, who we thought was supposed to be like a 14-year-old, but she was actually married to that Alabama guy.
Yeah.
The dancing, I thought, actually, she looked like she was pretty good, and they were talking about how terrible she was. She was sloppy. I mean, she was like flinging herself around. Was she ever funny in this movie?
Not unless... Yeah, no, not really. There were times when I was like, is she meant to be mentally handicapped? But then they don't really... I think by today's standards, that's how you would behave if you were trying to get an Oscar for portraying a mentally handicapped person.
That's exactly what she felt like. And it felt like she was just dressing to make this place look more like a madhouse.
Look weirder.
Exactly. Yeah. Which, you know, it achieved that, and it got us to see that place in that way faster. Because at first, I didn't understand that John Barrymore was supposed to be... Lionel Barrymore was supposed to be I thought he was supposed to be like a rich eccentric guy,
right?
And not a poor eccentric guy. The dancing and all of that kind of communicated that to me a little faster, maybe.
Yeah, and poor, relative poor. We're not talking abject poverty here.
No.
They're owning a 3-story, probably 4-bedroom house
in New York,
in Manhattan.
Yeah.
In the 1930s, it's implied that he owned some sort of large business concern and walked away from it, and I don't think he walked away with nothing.
Sure, and he makes money. I mean, they said that he appraises stamp collections.
And the fireworks business seems to be going well. And they have a printing press.
Right, they eke out money together.
And
in
the whole
commune.
neighborhood seems to be very, communist, to be honest.
Yes. Oh, no, tight. Absolutely, they would be tight.
Actually, more like Burning Man-ish than anything. Like, it's a bunch of burners.
Yeah.
Like 30s version of burners.
Yeah.
At one point, they pull a GoFundMe in the courtroom.
They really do. Yeah, there were little cutesy little characterizations that I thought were just a little bit too much. But hey, it's a comedy, and I actually really enjoyed all of them. It's a stretch. I'm really searching for something.
Yeah, me too. I honestly, the one thing I didn't like was what we brought up at the beginning, was that the relationship was introduced, or the way they met was that she worked for him. Was
terrifying, yeah.
Was a little, but I think in that era, of course, that would have been perfectly appropriate, if not completely expected.
I think it was extremely common, yeah.
But which is fine, but it would have been nice if she just worked at the place instead of literally directly for him.
Right.
That would have taken away the one ick part that I had, you know. But that's like really picking nits, you know.
Yeah, precisely. I can't think of anything besides the like one or two cringes that took me out of this. It was really, really fun. Oh, except the fucking host at that restaurant that they go to.
Yes.
When he looked at the sign on her back and didn't say, ma'am, could I get the sign off of your cape for her? He just let her go. Bullshit.
Yes.
Bullshit. Nobody would ever do that.
Call out culture, he would be all over Twitter.
Yeah. He would, at the very least, be telling Jimmy Stewart, like, what about this sign on this woman's back?
Yeah.
You know, he would have verbalized.
But it was funnier for the scene.
The scene demanded it, but it was one of those times where it was like, come on. Somebody would have said something.
Turn the lady a solid.
Yeah. I liked the mom. I liked that bitchy mom.
Yeah.
She was great.
She needed to stay bitchy. I mean, it's that one to me like maps exactly to Birdcage. Like you have to have one person who never bends.
The Diane Wiest.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're out of steam. It's hard to praise a movie
that much for that
too long without it's like how entertaining is that? Do you want to just hear us talk about?
Yeah, I think it would be. We would be able to chat about how terrible it is if I didn't want anyone else to see this movie. But if you're listening to this, you should watch this movie.
Exactly.
It was good.
We have a winner. We finally have.
I'm so
a winner.
Thrilled.
Oh my God. I don't know exactly when this is going to come out, but folks, if you want to hear me and Ralphie be mean to a movie, which we are
absolutely going to tear it apart.
10 times better at than whatever you heard right
that's
now. So if you liked this, we're even better. And if you thought this was dull, don't worry, this will be good. But you can see us together with Master Pancake Theater pulling apart Donnie Darko, which did not win Best Picture.
No.
And that'll be this weekend at the Alamo. I'm not sure which Alamo because it kind of depends on which weekend this comes out. But look it up. Come check us out. We're fun. And, you know, we already talk during movies, you know that. So please rate us, upvote us, share us on Reddit. I don't know how this part goes. You know what I mean when I say like the podcast and support it. And we'll see you again next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.